Greetings. I am Jessica A. Hollister, MD. You can call me Dr. Jack. Welcome to What You'd Want to Know. On this week's episode, Pregnant with Gonorrhea, we'll be speaking with our guest, Renaya.
Hey y'all.
Today, we'll be speaking with Renaya about a pathogen found in her lab results from last week. This is a teaching program, so Renaya has agreed to share her story here with us today on the show. So let's get right into it. Renaya's results here came back positive for an STD, gonorrhea.
Oh my god. How? What causes it? Tell me all about it, Dr. Jack.
Well, gonorrhea forms from a pathogen known as Neisseria gonorrhoeae, often just referred to as N Gonorrhoeae. According to the KNN classifier, the K-nearest neighbor results that I have right here, the domain is bacteria, the phylum is Proteobacteria, class Beta Proteobacteria, the order is Neisseria, family Neisseria, and the genus Neisseria. The closest match to Renaya's sample was Neisseria gonorrhoeae, with a SAB score of 1.000. The naive Bayesian classifier gave the same results as the KNN class results.
This is too much. Oh my god, doctor. I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna kill him.
It's okay.
I can't take it.
It's okay. We'll excuse Renaya from the rest of the interview as I inform you guys more about this bacteria.
Nice meeting you. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Okay, so we're back without Miss Renaya. And we'll continue further talking about this bacteria. Neisseria gonorrhoeae, also known as gonococcus or gonococci, is a species of gram-negative diplococci bacteria. First isolated by Albert Neisser, in which it gets its name from, in 1879. Neisseria is a large genus of bacteria that colonize mucosal surfaces of animals. Of the 10 species that I list out in a minute that colonize humans, only 2 are pathogens, N. meningitidis and N. gonorrhoea. The species are as follows: N. elongata, N. sicca, N. mucosa, N. subflava, N. flabescens, N. cinerea, N. polysaccharia, N. lactomica, and N. gonorrhea and N. meningitidis.
How did I get this, doctor?
Well, Renila, I can tell you how it's contracted. The bacterium Neisseria gonorrhoeae causes gonorrhea, which is a sexually transmitted disease. The STD is transmitted through sexual contact with an infected person involving the penis, vagina, anus, or the mouth. The reservoir of the bacteria is by direct contact with the infectious discharges from mucous membranes of infected people, especially during unprotected sex. Other than sexually, you can also get gonorrhea by simply touching your eye if you have infected fluids on your hands. And it can be spread to a baby during birth canal delivery if the mother has it. This gram-negative diplococci, gonococci, does not infect other animals or experimental animals and does not survive freely in the environment.
Wow.
So, here's how it behaves. This bacterium thrives easily in mucous membranes, warm, moist areas of the reproductive tract, including the cervix, uterus, and fallopian tubes in women, and in men, it grows in the urethra. When N. gonorrhoeae strains infect the mucosal surfaces of the urogenital sites, for example, the cervix, urethra, and rectum, and in the oropharynx and nasopharynx throat, it may cause both symptomatic or asymptomatic infections. When gonococcal infections get into the urogenital sites, they are more often symptomatic than asymptomatic. This means symptoms are displayed more often than it occurring without symptoms showing. However, asymptomatic infections may still occur at times. When it comes to gonococcal infections of the oropharynx, nasopharynx, and the rectum, on the other hand, it reacts the other way around, asymptomatic more than symptomatic.
Oh my god, doctor. So, what are the symptoms?
Symptoms are not often common, but they raise a red flag when displayed and usually within approximately a week of being infected. For women, there is pain or burning feeling when you pee abnormal discharge from the vagina that may be yellowish or bloody, bleeding in between periods. For men, there may be yellow, white, or green discharge from your penis, pain or swelling in your testicles, and burning feeling when you pee. In the anus, there is itching in or around your anus, discharge from your anus, and even pain when you poop.
Oh my god. So, doctor, what about pregnant women like me? I don't want nothing to happen to little Shatwerka.
Well, since you have contracted this disease during pregnancy, the infection can cause mouth sores, fever, and bloodstream infections. The baby is usually unaffected, but if the baby is born while the mother has an active infection, which you do, the baby may develop an eye infection or blindness, joint infections, or blood infections. It is treated with antibiotics, and all newborn babies are given antibiotic eye ointment after birth to prevent infections.
Oh man, is there a chance that Shatwerka will be okay?
Well, yes, but I can explain the pathogenicity of this disease. Of the Neisseria and related species, only N. gonorrhea is considered to always be pathogenic. Always pathogenic. So, N. gonorrhea is not considered to be normal flora of under any circumstances, meaning it can clearly be distinguished from your natural bacteria. There are the other one that is the other pathogen of the Neisseria related species that is sometimes pathogenic, which would be N. meningitis. Strains of N. meningitis may be carried as normal flora in the throat. Under some circumstances, N. meningitis may also be pathogenic, causing sporadic cases or epidemics of meningitis. Between 3 and 30% of healthy persons in non epidemic geographic areas may be asymptomatic carriers of N. meningitis. For example, the meningococci have colonized their throats without causing the disease. This carrier state may persist for many months, Renaya.
Oh, so what type of danger am I in? What's gonna happen next, doctor?
Well, so here's how it works. As gonorrhea spreads into the uterus and the fallopian tubes, the disease can result in pelvic inflammatory disease, also known as PID. Since gonorrhea plays a major role in PID, researchers have been led to thinking that it gives a higher risk of contracting HIV infection. Likewise, in both females and homosexual mates, throat and anorectal infections are common. Thus, the throat infections in particular can be difficult to eradicate. It's a very dangerous pathogen.
HIV? Oh no!
The epidemiology of this disease. Epidemiology, first of all, is the branch of medicine that deals with the incidence, distribution, and possible control of diseases and other factors relating to health. Gonorrhea, over the years, has progressively developed resistance to the antibiotic drugs prescribed to it. Following the spread of gonococcal fluoroquinolone resistance, the cephalosporin antibiotics have been the foundation of recommended treatments for gonorrhea. The emergence of this cephalosporin resistant gonorrhea would significantly complicate the ability of providers to treat gonorrhea successfully. Since there are a few antibiotic options left that are simple, well rounded, well tolerated, and highly effective, it is critical to continuously monitor antibiotic resistance in Neisseria gonorrhea and encourage research and development of new treatment regimens. Some antibiotics used to treat gonorrhea currently are doxycycline, azithromycin, ceftriaxone, and cefixime. Tips for my viewers. Male specifically, it is now widely accepted that male circumcision leads to a decrease in transmission of a number of viral pathogens like N. gonorrhea. The scientific investigators suggest that the anoxic environment under the foreskin lead to pro-inflammatory responses that in turn activate Langerhans cells. This could account for the beneficial effects of circumcision in decreasing HIV transmission. These scientists have also reported that treponemia pallidum, Haemophilus ducreae, and Neisseria gonorrhea infections enhance HIV transmission, and all of these pathogens are decreased after circumcision. Now, some general advice also to prevent gonorrhea transmission would be to use a reliable condom every time you have vaginal, oral, or anal sexual intercourse. Have only one sexual partner who is unaffected and also is monogamous. And get checked regularly for your safety and others. The purpose of this experiment was to investigate the diversity and abundance of a bacterial colony found in our everyday day to day lives. The bacteria was obtained from the environment and undergoed PCR, polymerase chain reaction, and agarose gel electrophoresis. Unfortunately, the results were unable to be used. Originally, it would have been the physical bacteria contracted from the environment, but due to experimental error, changes were made in order to move forward with this experiment. Unknown to us, the experimenters, 16S rRNA sequence samples were received. Using BLAST local alignment search tool, also known as BLAST, as well as two methods of bioinformatics, K nearest neighbor, KNN, as well as naive Bayesian classifier, were used to identify the unknown pathogens received. So a pathogen identified was not obtained from the environment, which would have given us a more realistic or alert perspective as to what is around us in our environment. It is so important, especially nowadays, as bacteria are being more resistant to medicine provided for it, to do our best as a society to sanitize our areas, keep our environment as clean as possible, as well as take care of our health to the best of our ability. There are many uncountable types of bacteria and diseases around us in great abundance, whether it is in our microbiome or in our environment around us, our day to day lives. There are some of us may find it disgusting, but many individuals would like to be aware of the bacteria they are surrounded by, as we all should. So that brings us to the end of today's segment. We thank you, Miss Renaya, for coming with us today and speaking, although you got a little camera shy. But I'm just gonna go ahead and give you some antibiotics and as well as this information packet to help you live a better preventative life. Please be back within 3 months' time and for a checkup before what's your baby's name?
Shatwerka.
Before Shatwerka is born. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Um, Wait, doctor. I
Yes.
just I just want to let you know that my insurance did not go through, so I hope you accept it.
Um, I'll accept it as some form of tip. We'll get security to get her out of here. Thank you very much for joining us today. I am Dr. Ja.